Good morning, Bitcoin. Today is Tuesday, January 14th, 2020. My name is Thomas Hunt, and here's what's happening today in Bitcoin. The price of Bitcoin is up 5.5%, with a last of 8,561, a high of 8,737, and a low of 8,087. That's $1 for 11,710 Satoshis. Checking out the top 10 cryptocurrencies by market cap from CoinMarketCap, looks like Ethereum's up 8%, Ripple up 6%, Bitcoin Cash up 25%, Tether is even, Bitcoin SV up 51%, Litecoin up 14%, EOS up 10%, Binance Coin up 6%, Monero also up 6%, rounding out the top 10. Missing Bitcoin key appears. Craig Wright's shadowy courier reportedly delivers. If this is true, it means that Craig Wright has the Bitcoin, the early Bitcoin, allegedly 1 million Bitcoin mined by Kleinman and Wright. This doesn't mean that he is Satoshi Nakamoto, but this means he might have the early Bitcoin. This would be big news for the lawsuit. Previously, the lawsuit was having trouble because they couldn't locate enough assets of Craig's to give away to Mr. Kleinman's descendants or It's official. Akon has his own crypto city in Senegal. Senegal has given the green light to build AkonCity, a 2,000-acre metropolis that will trade exclusively in a digital currency called Akoin. You can't make this up. This is real. Akon is a musician and entrepreneur and has signed a deal with the president of Senegal to get 2,000 acres of free land for AkonCity. It's going to be 5 minutes from Senegal's new international airport, billed as an environmentally and sustainable tourism village. The village is supposed to use the alleged cryptocurrency Akoin. Okay, well, we'll see how that goes. Clark Moody, classic Bitcoiner. One of the first Bitcoin charts was created by Clark Moody. Clark Moody on Twitter says, Bitcoin supply exhaustion happens much sooner than is widely understood. Only 1% new supply remains in 14 years. We reach 99% supply in 2047. Things are happening very quickly. And this was followed by a discussion of how we could label this in a different way so people understand how important the halvening is and what a big deal it is that we're going from 12 and a half Bitcoins every 10 minutes to 6.25. This is going to make Bitcoins much more rare. Roger Ver says, 2012, a system which encourages saving and capital accumulation will always outperform one which incentivizes consumption in the long term. It's funny, Roger's starting to be like Trump, where anything he says on Twitter now, you can go back and find a tweet of him saying the exact opposite thing. Roger right now is saying that Bitcoin Cash is better because it moves around and it's like currency, and that's going to make it more valuable, when really we know the first Roger was telling the truth. It's the new Roger that you can't trust. Interesting article from Aaron von Weirdum in Bitcoin Magazine. Do CoinJoins really require equal transactions amounts per privacy? Part 1, CashFusion. The guys over at Bitcoin Cash and CashFusion have a new way to do CoinJoins. To try to sum it up very quickly, if I was normally to split up a coin join, I'd take maybe 10 coins, split them into 1, 1, 1, 1, 1 equal amounts. What they're saying is they can take those 10 coins and split them up into unequal amounts, maybe an 8 and a 2, maybe a 7 and a 3. They could then send them across, mix them with a bunch of other coins, and come out at the other side with the 7 and the 3. The question is, does that make it more anonymous? Is it more anonymous to use a number like 7, 3, 8, and 2, or to mix it up into 10 ones, or maybe 100 point ones, or maybe 1,000.0 ones? Equal amounts, more splits. Seems like it makes sense to me, but they've found another way to do it. We'll have to see if this turns out. Hasn't really been scientifically tested yet. Hedge funds could make one potential Fed repo market fix hard to stomach. Oh boy, there's a bunch of words there. No one knows what they mean. Let's go down to the article. This is from the Wall Street Journal, so I'm surprised they're letting us actually read it. Usually it's behind a subscription wall. Basically, right now, the Federal Reserve lends money to banks overnight. What they're saying is they want to change that so that the Federal Reserve, could loan money directly to hedge funds overnight. So as you can see, there'd be many more people applying for these loans, potentially much greater amount of loans, and that the funds would be going out all the time, lending the cash directly to smaller banks, security dealers, and hedge funds. This is a major move for the Fed. Also worth reminding you again that in September, they had an unexpected shortage of available cash to lend from the Federal Reserve. There were more people trying to borrow overnight money than there was overnight money. So the Fed, of course, just gathered some more overnight money. But this is a big deal. Not a lot of people watch this. This is worth keeping an eye on. The Fed might start injecting money directly at the hedge fund and smaller bank level. Oh, it's time to draw new magical lines. Bitcoin might have broken out of the channel. And you know what happens then? You just draw new channel lines pointing upward. No one knew it was going to break out of the channel. In fact, they'd all tell you it was going to remain in the channel until it doesn't. It's been almost 10 years since the passing of J.D. Salinger, and there are still no new books. Of course, Salinger allegedly writing in private after the publication of The Catcher in the Rye. He didn't like everyone's analysis and reaction to the book, and allegedly continued writing in private. His son, his family claimed to be editing and planning to release the additional stories. Nothing has been released yet. We had a great tweet from Ragnar Lifsire, who says he talked about this tweet, and we're not going to name who says it is, but I remember who it is, and I also found it questionable. The person said, "Many people are making things very complicated, lots of noise and pointless narratives. It's really super easy. Just stack and hodl." And Ragnar says, "Below is an example of robotic repetition of unquestioned simplistic dogma as a mantra of faith, an excuse for inaction and critical thought. In this instance, it's hodl monomania." And he says, yes, he hodls and he recommends it, but the danger of monomania is what follows from it. And he worries that people won't try to build things, they won't try to make things, they won't spread the word about Bitcoin, they won't do shows like this, because all you really need to do is hodl. Oh, why are you even bothering doing anything? It's just hodl. Don't do any work. I totally agree with him. It's a dangerous meme, as he says here. We can see how reducing all of Bitcoin to one monomania keeps Bitcoin from progressing, gives an excuse for inaction, narrows the scope of Bitcoin's purpose and abilities, and discourages rigorous, intelligent discourse. Memes are for humor, not orthodoxy. Totally agree with that. And he's got one more. He says, to make Bitcoin and ourselves stronger, we need to think like the software engineers who contribute to Bitcoin. They peer review, mercilessly seeking flaws. At their tech events, they talk about every which way a proposal can fail. They think adversarially. They're conservative. Stressing muscles makes them stronger. Testing and reviewing codes reduces the risk of exploits. Thinking critically about ideas and claims focuses our limited resources on what's realistic and achievable. It also helps us let go of future fantasies to focus on the present. Some water here. Coinbase hands nearly $1 million to Cripsy victims after settling the class action lawsuit. I told you so. This has been years ago. No one remembers Cripsy anymore, but a long time ago, there was an altcoin exchange called Cryptsy, and they had hundreds of coins. They, unlike a normal exchange, might have 5 to 10, maybe 20 coins. Cripsy had hundreds. The list would just scroll and scroll and scroll. Cripsy then had something happen, allegedly. A Trojan wallet code injected by Lucky 7 coin allowed someone to access Cripsy and steal all the money. Another thing happened where Cripsy's owner, Big Vern, allegedly was moving money through Coinbase. A lot of people cited this as one of the early reasons that Coinbase was profitable, was that they were moving so much dirty money that had been stolen from Cripsy. They moved it in Big Vern's personal account, and they never asked any questions. Big Vern eventually disappeared, allegedly to China, allegedly to set up a new version of Cripsy in Chinese this time. Recently, we've just had this major announcement from the lawsuit. Coinbase is going to pay $1 million to Cripsy victims after settling the lawsuit. Of course, they probably made much more and got much more from raising money, et cetera, et cetera. So once again, it's better to break the law in the short term and accept the consequences later. Not a piece of advice suggested by this show, only saying what seems to happen in these large lawsuits. Of course, reminding us of the Ethereum "it's too big to regulate" decision. Breaking news from BTC King 555 on Twitter, who has just been all over this Bitmain story from the very beginning. He says, Bitmain plans to cancel its USA IPO plans. Insider tells that there is an investigation by the American DOJ on Bitmain selling a huge amount of equipment to alleged Ponzi scheme BitClub, with Bitmain's Yoshi Goto playing a key role. Some of those sales numbers were apparently fudged to accommodate ... Story doesn't continue. But anyway, this is another crazy story from the Bitmain saga. Previously, Bitmain was going to file an IPO in Hong Kong. They refused to release certain years of their financial guidance and eventually withdrew the IPO when it was clear that everyone wanted those years. They were going to try the same thing in the US. They were going to do another IPO. It looks like they're pulling back. Also, we talked about the BitClub situation. BitClub was a cloud mining I don't want to say scheme, alleged scheme online where you could invest and they would cloud mine for you. It got too big and allegedly they started just taking the profits, but I don't know anything about the inside of that. It's interesting to see that there was actually Bitcoins being mined. There was actual machines there. It's just with many of these Ponzi's or alleged Ponzi's, the amount just gets too high for them to pay off the new people. This, of course, relates to a great tweet from our friend Alejandro. This guy says he's decommissioning S9s every day, all day. Alejandro says it's the silence of the S9. And recently, one of Alejandro's tweets has reminded us that with the new difficulty ratings, it's no longer profitable to mine with Antminer S9s from Bitmain. So they are going to be retired. It's interesting to see how 1 week these were relatively valuable mining machines with incredibly intricate Bitcoin chips and hardware, and the next week you just put them outside. They're done. So we had another interesting tweet here from Swift on Security, who reminds you that Linux damages the minds of children. iOS 13's user reminders about apps using background location tracking have in the past months cut user consent by 50%, when it was previously almost always agreed to, showing the power of UX design. And I noticed this recently myself on the new operating system. It now tells you how many times the app's been using your location in the background and asks you, are you sure you want to keep giving your location to Pokemon? And some of you will, and you'll keep playing the game, and others will say, well, maybe I'll just give my location when I play Pokemon. Maybe I don't have to give all of my location. So thanks so much for joining us. We got one more tweet shout out here. Shout out to Tallycoin at tallyco.in, which you can use for free. All you do is bring a Bitcoin address. It'll help you track your fundraiser. It can't affect your balance. It can't touch your money at all. It's completely voluntary. So check out Tallycoin. Tallycoin helped push through 1,586 Lightning transactions in 2019. Additionally, our fundraisers had 1,885 on-chain transactions. As a relatively small Bitcoin-only app, I think that's pretty cool. Thanks to all those generous people, and thanks to DJ Booth for creating Tallycoin. It's a really great project. You can see it right here. Here's our donation address for today if you'd like to support the show. Donate $5, $10. You can use the Lightning Network. It's all there with Tallycoin. We'd like to thank our most recent donor, 12,411 Satoshis donated by the Lightning Network. So very cool. Thank you so much. We're doing a special test today. That's why I was goofing around on the beginning and I look like an idiot. But we're going out to Twitter and to YouTube today, theoretically. With the Zoom app, we're connecting to the Restream.io, which of course wants money. If you guys like this, please donate. If we raise around $200, I could buy this service for the whole year. I'll be live on Twitter, live on YouTube. And if you pay $200, I'll be live on Facebook too. But of course, they want the $200 before they'll let me go live on Facebook. So I can't really test if it's worth going live on Facebook. So you know how it is. And every one of these services, I start paying Zoom $200 a month. They want more. I start paying this one $200 a year. They want more. Well, there's always another service to buy. But thanks so much for joining us on this little test episode of Today in Bitcoin. We'll be back maybe tomorrow, maybe at another time with another show. But until next time, bye-bye. Now I get to go see what all this looked like and see if it worked. See how much of an idiot I looked like. Oh, well.